It took Emery Smith over a decade of being an anonymous insider to David Wilcock to finally decide to come out into the public realm and share his stories in person. You may have heard of him already if you follow the work of David Wilcock, Stephen Greer, Corey Goode, or others. If you have not, be prepared to hear about a hidden world of laboratories and secret underground bases that seems almost too fantastical to be made up. On Emery Smith's first appearance on David Wilcock's Cosmic Disclosure. Emery appears to be nervous in the first interview to reveal his identity. He has reason to be. He was aware that he had testimony that powerful people would not want disclosed. Near the end of the interview, they discuss Emery's decision to reveal himself to the public. Emery gets quite emotional, saying that recently, it's gotten a little violent. Emery, been shot at, been stabbed, been jumped by 3 agents, gotten my butt kicked, I mean, I've been through it all. They really got angry and that's where I lost everything. They broke into my house, rammed my gate, my concrete gate, down, you know, where all this stuff was stored, cut into the walls, where things in safes were hidden, that you can only know by satellite. Using these people definitely had perfect satellite imagery, of, you know, I know about the satellites, very well, and the stuff they can do with them, and they can look into every brick, and every wall of the house. David, wow, it's unbelievable. I'm very glad that you made it here alive, that we're doing this now, we're gonna try to get as much on camera as we can for your safety. While David had long been telling Emery that coming forward publicly to reveal what he knows would probably be better for his safety than staying anonymous, Emery finally decided that David was right, after having so much violence inflicted upon him. It seemed to be enough to give him the resolve to expose himself and speak about this important information. Starting off as a surgical technician in the military at a young age, he showed great promise with his skill and rapidly growing knowledge. When he was moved out to Kirtland Air Force Base, he was offered a special moonlighting job, which he would do part-time at first but eventually became full-time while still being ranked and paid as an above-board active duty service member. He discusses his first day of work, which involved going into an underground facility on the base through a secret elevator that could go down at least 30 levels. On my first day, I just remember I was in this little room, kind of like you would see in the movies where the rooms were all white with the little steel table, and all these instruments there, and you're escorted to this place, and you get in there and there's this piece of tissue, and it's all positive pressure air system, and you do scrub out just like a surgeon scrubs and puts his gowns on and all that, and you label like you would in biology school a frog, this is a muscle, this is a tongue. Whatever, and I was just there to label and take small samples, and put them in these different types of jars and vats and containers, which I would then push through a drawer in a wall, and someone else would take it, and that was it. At first, the samples were small and nondescript, at times resembling a piece of salmon fillet. But every 3 to 6 months Emery would rise to a higher security clearance, and as he did so, the samples started getting more intact, where you could see that, well, this is a hand, you know, and I could not tell you what that is. At that point, I couldn't even say, and you're not allowed to ask anything. You just do that, and you don't talk to anybody, and that's your job, and that's it. David, what if you told your friends or your family, like, were you given security briefings for that? Emery, yes. I would be killed. Emery began seeing things that were fully not what one would see on the planet, but seemed to look like highly evolved pieces of animal or even insect bodies. He said at this point he didn't know if he was working with extraterrestrial beings, because there were possibilities that these were hybrids of different animal DNA and even human DNA. It did not take too long, about 10 months, for Emery to advance to the point where he was getting large body parts of clearly extraterrestrial beings to autopsy, since he was doing his job well and keeping his mouth shut. Emery describes the first partial body he worked on. Emery, it was a leopard-colored skin, it was a torso, it looked like it had got blown up, and it had reptilian skin, it had normal body parts like we had on our insides, so I did see a spleen, a heart, lungs. The face was too distorted and destroyed, so I couldn't tell you what the face looked like, but it had perfect, normal bone structure like we do, and it was just the skin, was beautiful. It was iridescent blue leopard skin. It reminded me of growing up in the Everglades, with the leopard frogs, where they had those round circles and peacock feathers, mixed. David, did it scare you the first time you got a partial body? Were you, like, oh my god, what's going on here? Emery, yeah, I was in shock. They're measuring my heart rate, by the way, the whole time, they're measuring how I'm reacting, so I kept cool, and they didn't ask me how are you doing. On the one hand, Emery had an insatiable curiosity about the beings he was working on, about where they came from, how they came to be in the lab, what had happened to them. He was, however, not even allowed to ask questions, and so a bit of disenchantment with the whole process was settling in. After working with full bodies of extraterrestrial beings for a while, many of which defied description, he started feeling that there was something not right, that he was no longer feeling comfortable with what he had been doing. The day he received a full body that was warm, and which he knew had just died, he started to realize that he no longer wanted to do the work and applied for and received an honorable discharge. Emery Smith has recently appeared as a guest on many shows, and it becomes clear that his knowledge and understanding of the workings of black projects in a whole world that is hidden from us is quite vast and comprehensive. The fact that he has autopsied extraterrestrial beings could almost be considered the tip of the iceberg, though it gives some indication of the high level of secrecy, compartmentalization, and vastness of this secret world that most human beings are still not aware of. With the testimony of insiders like Emery Smith and Corey Good, the awakening community has no choice but to evaluate their claims and try to piece together a picture of the vast operations that are being hidden from us, not only on the Earth but deep underground and in space. The more we work together to understand not only the nature of these activities but also the agenda, the closer we will be to getting the truth revealed to humanity at large. All this and more is spoken about in the video below.